But today we're going to talk about a very meaty part of the topic that I think is so valuable, which is taking calls and actually converting them to revenue. And how many of you have already taken calls and have blown up a call before? I answered a call, oh, I didn't say the right thing, and maybe I lost a deal. We've all been there. Trust me, we still do it today, even as an operation like ours. We get on the calls and sometimes we just fumble the bag. We just don't say the right things. And so today I'm going to give you some frameworks that we work on that should really help you take these calls and then convert them to revenue in your business and profit at the end of the year. Number one is the removal call. Okay. So, and this is from the least motivated. How many of you have sent mail before and they said, hey, you know what, Eric, don't mail me again. I'm never selling my house. By the way, this is a good sign. This means that your mail's hitting. Probably about anywhere between 60 and 80% of your calls coming in are going to be the removal call. So this is your largest bucket of calls that are coming in. Here's the crazy news about the removal call. Just because there was a removal, it doesn't mean they're not selling. And so if you know how to handle these calls correctly, you can actually convert. But we have found about 10% of these into actual revenue. So imagine 80% of your calls that come in that tell you, hey, remove from the list, I'm not selling to you, whatever that conversation is. Sometimes it's more colorful in language, right? Don't ever mail me again. What's crazy is we have found you can actually get about 10% of these converted to deals, whether that's a cash buy or if you're a realtor, you can turn these into listings. The reason this happens is because people that usually are experiencing a lot of pain are usually the ones that are saying, hey, don't message me again. And so they're still the type of people that you want to get in touch with. So how do you handle a removal call? Number one, you got to give people what they want right away. So it's when, hey, you mail me, don't ever mail me again. Tell them right away, hey, no problem. I'll get you removed from this list. I just need to get the address and I'll go ahead and remove you from that list. And so giving people what they want right away will give you a big advantage in getting them to reduce the nerves down. If they don't give you the address, you want to say, hey, the reason, I use a justifier, the reason I need the address is because of X, Y, and Z. That way I know I can remove you from the mailing list and make sure you don't get another postcard. Additionally, what I would do with removals is let them know, by the way, we prepay these quarterly. So you may receive a few more pieces from us. And I do apologize. You can put those right in the trash. But moving forward, I'll have you removed from any future campaigns. So let them know if you do screw up and you happen to mail them again, they're not going to come hit you with bad reviews. Then what you want to move into, once you've diffused them, you let them know you're going to take care of their problem. There might be a couple more, so you're managing expectations for the future. They feel like you're helping them out. You say, by the way, it sounds like you're never selling this property. What will happen is a few of them might say, actually, I am selling it, but my friend's going to list the property. Or I'm not selling to you. Or, we are, but I'm not selling to a cash buyer. Or you wouldn't be interested in this home. So the words, just before I let you go, it sounds like you're never selling this property. Is that correct? What will happen is there's going to be a percentage of people that will hesitate or they'll tell you that they are selling the property. And this is where you then want to then convert these into an opportunity. You start battling those next objections. Oh, my family member is going to list the home. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Thank you. I'm glad you're being proactive. That sounds awesome. When are you guys coming to market? I would be an interested buyer. Do you have an idea of what you're going to be looking to get for the home? Have you considered before hiring a realtor on just taking a look at an offer just to see what you could get for the home? And if it made a lot of sense, maybe going on with it. I know a lot of people are taking advantage of that because they're saving the money on commissions. Have you thought about that? And so you can convert these removals. Number two is the confusion call. Let me go back to the share screen here so you have the list. Number two is this confusion call. These people calling in saying, hey, I got this letter thing. What is this? What is this all about? And this could be from any different type of postcard or maybe give them an offer in the mail. Your goal here is to really slow it down. Reiterate why you sent some mail out, why it might be of benefit to them, and see if they're then selling the home. So with people that are more confused, you really want to slow it down. Okay, don't go into this huge, big spiel all fast and everything else. Slow it down. These people are already confused. You don't want to confuse them further on your call. So your number one thing, thank them for the call. Thank you for them reaching out, even though they're looking for some information. Let them know they're not alone. It would sound something like this. Hey, totally understand. I apologize that the piece was a little bit confusing, but thank you so much for calling in. I'm glad you gave me a call. The reason I was sending out this piece of mail, I'm a buyer in your area. I was looking to purchase a home. The home looked like it could be a good fit. I didn't know if you were selling or not, so I wanted to get in touch with you. And so you slow it down. Number three, I'm saving it for later. Here's the deal with saving it for later. These people will typically sell faster than what they tell you. Hey, I got your mail piece. I'm going to save it for 6 months from now. You'll be surprised how many people sell in 2 months. So what you want to do is qualify that same lead just like how you normally would, just assuming that it's ready to sell today, because so many of them are. They give you this because it's a defense mechanism. They don't want to overcommit. They don't want to tell you that they're selling today because they want to start to feel out their options first. Okay, so I'm saving it for later. Just qualify it per normal. On-market home that isn't selling. How many of you have sent direct mail and it happens to fall into a house that just got listed, right? And an agent just beat you to the punch and they're saying, hey, I am selling, but my home's listed for sale. Have you seen it online? Okay. gosh, you're like, oh man, I wish I was there a month ago, right? This happens. Or maybe it hits and the home's been unlisted for 3 months and they have a postcard from 6 months ago. They went with an agent, it's not selling. You can still convert these deals. And so what you want to do here with a home that isn't selling, number one, you got to be very respectful of the existing contract that's in place for the listing. You don't want to step on toes here. And so what you do is say, hey, no, absolutely. Let me pull it up. Let me see if we could be of interest. Talk to me a little bit about what your experience has been thus far. Have them voice out the pain of not being able to sell the home yet. Or have them voice out the conversation of, yeah, we just brought it to market. Have them walk you through the story. And I want to kind of lean on the pain a little bit here. Oh gosh, so you've been on market for 60 days? What was the traffic like? Did you get any feedback? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring the conditioning down of what they believe the home is worth to make it more viable for me as an investor to purchase that home. After I've done this and I've had them walk through the pain of not being able to sell, I'd ask them, by the way, you have a contract in place. We work with realtors all the time. I'd be more than happy to work with your realtor. Let me ask you this though, before I go down this whole path. It sounds like you're happy with how everything's going with the current agent. I'm going to assume the positive, because if the answer is no, they're going to tell me. They're going to say, actually, I'm not that happy with my agent. And they're going to start spewing information more about the home and about the situation, how they want to move on. They just want an offer. They just want to get it done with, which is good news for us as an investor. At that point in time, you say, hey, look, I don't want to step on toes in an existing contract. However, if that contract were to expire, because I think there's an expiration date on your contract, or for some reason you wanted to work with us without the agent, it would have to expire or some type of cancellation would happen, but that's completely on your end. I have nothing to do with that. In the meantime, I'm happy to work with your agent. And what will happen is some people will separate themselves from the agent that's not selling the home, which gives you that margin back on commissions if they decide to, hey, my home's expiring in a week or so, I'm not going to renew. I'll go with you. I'll save the money on commissions. Let's do a deal. For the people that are interested with the agent, working with the agent, which is most people, what you do is you then ask for the warm introduction to the agent. I'd love to get in contact with your agent. Would you please connect me with them? I'd love to connect with them. We can get an offer in and take it from there. And I also then want to start to have a conversation about the pricing of the home. And so what I'm doing here is number one, I'm getting the background experience. How's everything going? I'm seeing if there's happiness with the agent or not. If there is, I want to work with the agent. If there's a lot of not happiness, they're not going to continue to move forward with the agent. I'm not going to intervene, but I'm saying I could be an option for you in the future, but that's going to be completely on you. I'm not going to tell you anything more about it because I got to respect that contract. And then what I'm doing then is I'm trying to now move into more of a pricing conversation just to see if there's room here for me to actually purchase the home. I'm trying to say, hey, look, the home has been listed for $900,000 or $400,000. And it sounds like you haven't got the interest that you're looking for. You haven't got the offers. When I look at that, I think to me, it's saying the market's not willing to pay that amount of money. Unfortunately, I know that's what you're hoping for. Have you thought a little bit more about what you would be willing to walk away with? And I'm going to have them start to bring their own price down. Whatever price they tell me, I'm going to give them a sense of hesitation. Let's say they say, yeah, no, we might take $360 for it. I know it's a little bit high. I say, oof, okay. All right, it's getting closer. I'll be honest with you. Maybe there's a way that 360 works. From what I'm seeing, though, I think it's still a little rich for what we'd be able to pay. But I do want to do some due diligence. I mean, given that, I probably won't be at 360. Maybe, but I probably won't be at 360. Is it worth continuing this conversation? What happens is you'll start to bring them down closer off that price that was maybe at 400,000. You'll start to anchor them lower and lower. If the motivation is there, they will come down in price because they need to get the home sold. Okay, next one. Your offer is too low. How many of you have gotten this before in the chat? Hey, you guys are going to lowball me. Are you a lowballer? Or hey, your offer that you sent in the mail is too low. Here's what you want to do with an appointment, especially if you're in person. What you do is say, hey, no worries. I totally understand. By the way, we do our best to give our best offer out at any given time. It sounds like you had a price in mind that you think is going to be too much for what we could pay. What is that price? I can see if we are in the same stratosphere. So you're going to get the price from them if you can. What I'd say is, by the way, just so you know, until we get out and actually walk a property, we're not really sure exactly what we can pay for. I don't see why we couldn't pay for that, given if the home checks out. Why don't we set up a time to get out there, walk the property, and I'll get you an offer, and I'll see if I can get you your price at 360. So you want to see if you can get the offer from them, and then use the objection you're going to pay too low is the reason I need to get out there, or the reason you should set up a call to actually go through a negotiation. But you want to get in person with this. And then when you get out to these appointments, you basically just justify your offer the entire time. You go out there. Hey, I know you want 360. I've taken a look at the home today. Thank you so much for sharing it. I wish I could pay you 360. Unfortunately, with X, Y, and Z, that's wrong with the home. We're going to need to invest X amount of dollars. We need to make a little bit of money. I hope you're okay with that. So our price wouldn't be at 360. I'd be more comfortable at this price of 280. And then boom, you start your negotiation from there, right? Your goal though, with your offers too low, you kind of agree with them. You're labeling. It sounds like I might not be able to match it. And you're kind of being agreeable with them. And then you say, I don't know why we wouldn't necessarily be able to do that. I just need to get out there and walk it. It must be something that makes the home worth that. I'd love to see it. I'd love to pay you if I can. Get the appointment, go in person, build the relationship. Then you can actually have your negotiation from there. Moving on, the influencer call. What is an influencer call? Okay, an influencer call is when someone calls in that's not the selling party, but they are an influencer to the selling party. It could be an agent, could be an attorney, could be a family member, which is the most common, could be a neighbor, the influencer that calls in. By the way, there's some of the best deals out there when the influencer calls in. Don't discount them because they're not the decision maker. This is usually someone who's looking out for somebody else or has some type of interest in the property, but they're not the main decision maker. What do you do with an influencer? You make them feel really, really special and good that they called into you. And you build a relationship as best you possibly can. You get as much information out of them about the story of the decision maker as you possibly can. And you ask the influencer, how do you believe that we can move this forward? And most of the time you say, well, let me get you an introduction. That's usually what ends up happening. So you're going to empower your influencer by building a relationship and asking, how do you think we should actually move this forward? And if it's not aligned with how you would want to move it forward, you'd give a suggestion. If they're like, well, why don't you call me back in 6 months? I think they're gonna be ready to sell. That's when I might step in and say, yeah, that's not exactly how I want to operate. So I'm going to give my suggestion at this point in time. But a lot of times these influencers will say, well, yeah, let me connect you with the sellers. And boom, now you're a warm introduction from the influencer who's likely going to guide them toward making a decision towards selling the home. Don't discount these. Some of our best deals come from these influencers. All right, next one. I'm selling, but not for a few months. This is kind of like I'm saving it for later. But this time they're explicitly telling you that they are selling, but not for a few months. Qualify these as normal and assume that they're going to sell today. Because so many of them actually are, they're just telling you it's further down the line so they don't have to overcommit today. Qualify them per usual. Hey, totally understand, not selling for a few months. By the way, in a couple months, what's happening? Why do we need to sell in a few months? Start going through your qualifiers per usual. But then I'm also saying, by the way, I'm building a little bit of urgency. By the way, you tell me a couple months, just so you know, most sellers start getting ready to start selling usually about 6 months out. They start the due diligence, they start talking with some people, usually start to make a decision. Sounds like you're 3 months out. A lot of our most successful sellers are having that conversation more today. So the time is right. They have everything prepared. They know what they're walking into. They understand how much they're going to walk away with their home. Why don't we come out there? We'll come get you an offer so you have something that you can base your decision-making on. And then when the time's right, then you can move forward with it. So many sellers take advantage of this flexibility in our offers. And so I'm going to create some urgency and then encourage them to move it earlier when I have people that tell me not for a few months. I'm doing that by saying our most successful sellers are usually pushing it forward. Number 8, I'm trying to learn more about your process. Gosh, what a great inquiry right here. When someone starts thinking about, I want to learn more about how you work, to me, that triggers that there's a lot of motivation to actually make a decision here, and they're further in their decision-making process. They are now evaluating options, which is more than just having some implicit motivation maybe in the future to sell. So if people are trying to learn more about your process, this is a very good sign. And you say, hey, number 1, thank you so much for calling in. You alongside a lot of our other amazing home sellers call in with this exact same question. Trying to learn more about your process. I'd be happy to share it with you. It's super simple. I'll grab a couple details over the phone today about the home. If the home does seem to qualify, I'll come out for 10 to 15 minutes to walk the property. I'll allocate a little bit more time if you have some more questions. I'll deliver an offer. And if it makes sense, it's a no obligation offer. You accept the offer and you get to pick your closing date. We hold your hand to the paperwork on the back end. It's super simple and easy. And you collect your cash. It's literally that simple. Okay, that's my pitch. Your pitch may be a little bit different. Maybe you're doing these over the phone virtually. Maybe, you want to X, Y, and Z, your process a little bit different. Okay. But that's my pitch. I know my pitch. I know exactly what our process sounds like. And my goal here, and what your goal should be, is to make it sound super simple and easy. If you can do this, what's going to happen is their whole pressure that they're feeling, that stress that they're feeling, the uncertainty of how does this work? I'm calling on this postcard. Do I trust these people? Not trust these people? Are they actually going to buy the house? Are they not going to buy the house? Are they the best option? That stress comes way down when you make it super simple and easy. And by the way, if you don't know how to exactly give that pitch over and over and over, practice that pitch of what your process is, because you need to nail that. You need to set the stage so that these stresses that people have come way down. They lower their guard. They're much more excited to move forward in your process. So again, I'm trying to learn more about your process. You love that call. Thank them for calling in, and then say, by the way, this is one of the most common questions from our home sellers. Be happy to share it with you. Our process is super simple. Boom, give your 3-4 bullet points, and that's it. And then, because you've already set the stage, you say, so perfect. Let me go ahead and ask you a handful of questions to see if the home might qualify, and then go into your question making. You qualify down from there. And the last one is, I like your offer. I like your postcard. I'm selling your home. This is as motivated as it gets. Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm so glad you gave us a call today. Talk to me a little bit about the situation, and go with urgency. And your goal here is to get in front of them as soon as you possibly can. If people tell you they like your offer, or they're really motivated to sell their home, home. Try to get out there in the next hour. Get someone from your team out there in the next hour if you can. Can't get in the next hour, get in 2 hours. You can't get in 2 hours, get there by the end of the day. Your goal when people like your offer, it's all about speed to appointment. You got to get there as soon as you possibly can. Because what's going to happen is they like your offer, they might like another offer, and then all of a sudden your competitor goes and wins that deal. If someone likes your offer, your goal, still qualify, you still have some questions, get out in front of them as soon as you possibly can.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.